Hey, what's going on? This is Coach Marcus Pro Fan Talk. I am still here in my Cancun office after the regular season and the playoffs were done with the early exit of the Philadelphia Eagles. But of course, everybody wants to know what's going to happen with Kevin Patullo and more importantly, what's going to happen with AJ Brown. Now, the conversation with AJ Brown has been around for a minute. But what I'd like to remind people was that AJ Brown was right. Y'all just didn't like the messenger. When AJ Brown said what he said way back last season in 2024-25 about the passing game, everybody lost it, but he was right. The passing game was woeful. It wasn't even back then. I don't know. Was that a Jalen Hurts thing? Was that a offensive coordinator thing? Like, what was it? And then you get to this year. Yes, you could put blame on some of the players because we lost some games. Let's be real. That Dallas game wasn't Kevin Patullo's fault. That wasn't Kevin Patullo's fault. The Denver game wasn't Kevin Patullo's fault. But the flip side of that is there have been plenty of other situations where clearly we got outcoached and outmatched. The game against the 49ers in the wild card being the latest example. Now, what I want to bring back is what I just said a minute ago, that A.J. Brown was right. And I talked about this on my stream last night, but I want to bring it up so I can show the clip. What they said on Unsportsmanlike with Chris Canty and Michelle Smallman brought this point up, where she said, "Isn't this what AJ Brown was talking about?" And because the way it went down, should he be vindicated? Because even with the drops, he didn't have his best game. Devontae didn't have his best game. Saquon dropped balls, so everybody dropped balls. So that's what I mean when I talk about the player execution failure. Kevin Patullo can't do nothing about that. But when you get into the fourth quarter and that last drive, and I think a lot of people have talked about it. I think Greg Cosell talked about it. Acho talked about it. Dan Orlovsky broke it down really well. The play scheme and the play calling, when we needed it the most, didn't measure up. But I want you to listen to this clip right here from Michelle Smallman.
So we're talking about the Eagles moving on from A.J. Brown, and obviously yesterday was not his best day. But isn't he a little bit vindicated in what he was saying all season long? He kept telling you something is not right here. He was sounding the alarm early and often, and it never materialized. So he's a very talented player. And do you guys think in any way we're looking at what he had been saying, whether or not you liked the delivery or the timing of it, and saying maybe we should have listened to him? He was right.
So a lot of people forget about that fact. It was, and this is my opinion. I don't ever remember, and I'm taking him at his word, and I'm going by what was said. I don't want to insinuate. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm going by what was said. I don't ever remember hearing AJ Brown talk about he needs the ball more. All he ever said was, we got to get our passing game together. And for me, as a player, that's across the board because he wasn't getting the ball. Devontae wasn't getting the ball. Dallas Goedert wasn't getting the ball. They weren't throwing the ball to Saquon. So it was across the board. And when you dropping back and you looking and looking and looking and everybody's getting coverage and we running the same stuff, we running that same trips left, wide receiver screen and nobody blocks and all of that, you can't. There was too many times in games this year where whatever our play call was, the defense sniffed it out very quickly. So you couple that with how bad our offensive line was, you got a recipe for disaster. I still say the majority of the failure of this season is because our offensive line was not good this year. It just wasn't good. But everything that AJ Brown said, what little he said, wasn't wrong. And let's not forget that some of his teammates co-signed what he said shortly thereafter. People just conveniently forget about that. So before we everybody gets so annoyed with AJ Brown. Just for the record, I think what happened on the sideline between him and Sirianni, I blame that on Sirianni. What warranted that type of reaction is my question. Now I could be wrong, but knowing what happens on the sidelines and the chaos that goes on and things of that nature that happen, why did that warrant that type of reaction? That was curious to me. Very curious. Because I would like to see like the all 22. Like, where was AJ Brown on the field? How much time was left on the clock? Like, what was the buildup to that explosion? That made no sense to me. Over something that was in the big scheme of things, did it really matter? So I'm curious about that. But in any case, before everybody wants to ship AJ Brown out of town, you just don't replace somebody like AJ Brown. You don't just replace that production. You hope you get somebody. You hope you get a Puka Nacua that came out of nowhere. You hope you get a Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, that nobody had. Folks had zero expectations for him. He wasn't supposed to make the team. That whole thing. And look where he is now. But they lucked up with that. It wasn't because they liked his tape so well and he was on everybody's big board. Nothing like that. He surprised everybody. Puka Nacua surprised everybody because you have people like that all the time, every year in this league. But if you are going to replace an all-pro type elite level wide receiver like A.J. Brown, you better have a plan. And you can't be guessing because even first-round picks don't pan out sometimes. Look at what is going on with Keon Coleman. Look what happened with what's his name? Marvin Harrison Jr. Not saying that they're bad receivers, but they taking their lumps and going through the struggle bus. And it might be 2, 3, maybe 4 years before they reach their potential, if they ever do it. So I'm a big believer of a bird in the hand beats two in the bush. So I think the media and fandom and social media get real annoyed quickly, too quickly, in my opinion. And you forget what they bring to the table just because you don't like their quirks, you don't like their attitude, and you want to forget about all the good stuff and worry about what you worried about. And you got to be careful with that because if you're going to get rid of them, you got to replace them. There's a reason why Devontae Smith could do what he do. Because all of the pressure is looking at A.J. Brown. And guess what? They were doing that for a reason. So even for the people that want to ridicule Jalen Hurts and things like that, you know what? And I said this before, when A.J. Brown set the NFL record for the most 125-plus receiving yards game in NFL history. I believe that's correct. Somebody had to throw on the ball. And the point is that it's not like all of a sudden Jalen just didn't want to get the ball to A.J. Brown because that was a winning combination. Run it till you stop it. Why did they stop? And then if the defense did catch up, well, what's the next evolution? What's the next thing you can go to? To me, that is the failure of Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni. You got to be better than that. And we weren't. So they're going to make the decisions. That's probably going to come down the pipe soon enough. And we're going to see what's going to happen. Go Birds.